Right, spare wheel holder. Now, human nature not to believe people when they say something, right? It is within the human nature, especially with common subjects, one of them being safety equipment. But I was wearing a visor at the time, but it got past. But I will confess, I don't always wear the visor, and I kind of ask for trouble myself with the lack of safety equipment around my eyes. Now, you remember in the third video I said I got a bit of metal in my eye that was really irritating? Well, it got worse, and I ended up at the hospital yesterday for about 4 or 5 hours, I think it was, waiting around, and eventually got dealt with. Nothing sinister really, just a shred of metal went into my eye, actually pierced the surface of the eye. I managed to get it out before I ended up there. Got it out with a magnet. I actually used my wire brush the magnet back on my tape measure, and I managed to remove it, because when he put the dye in and did everything he had to do, he couldn't find it, but he found the hole. So I know I got it out. He says quite a deep hole, and it's going to be irritating for a few days. So he said I cannot do any more work that's going to create dust, because that dust will get in the hole and cause me problems. So I looked at the wife last night and I said, oh well, that's it then, isn't it? I'm screwed for a week. I can't do any more work. So I was contemplating, well, what do I do? And looked in Toolstation, and they do special goggles to go over glasses, so we can still commence, but I've just got to be careful not to get dust in that eye, and that means getting it on my head, so I need a hat as well. I won't be wearing my visor because I can't wear a hat with a visor properly. So yeah, my own stupid fault. I've got nobody else to blame but myself, and eye protection is just as important as a pair of gloves, as somebody pointed out yesterday. I had a little mishap with one of these. Where is it? Hang on, bear with me. No, I can't find it. I must have used them all up. One of them old flapper discs nicked my hand the other day as well. So yeah, we're going for it at the moment, but it is what it is. I don't need people to lecture me. I know I did wrong, and I hope that the lessons are learned. I probably haven't learned the lesson. What am I talking about? Now I'm talking shit. But you know how it is. I mean, any youngsters watching, for God's sake, wear your glasses. Don't be a prat like myself and think you can get away with it from time to time. I mean, I had a visor on that occasion, but I haven't had the visor on previous occasions, so I am as guilty as the next knob that picks a grinder up without any safety. I don't even have a guard on it because I can't, when I'm cutting, I can't see where the line is because the guard get in the way. But I think I will try and find my guard. I don't even know what I've done with it. Last I saw it was over here somewhere. It might have fallen down the back. Yeah, it's probably behind there somewhere, so I'll see if I can dig that bugger up. No, here it is. So, and I've got no excuses with this guard, because this guard slips on and off. You ain't got to undo bolts or nothing. So I've got no excuses with the guard, but I will put the guard back on when I'm doing some heavy duty grinding, just to keep this muck out of my eyes. So yeah, don't judge me too harshly, but feel free to mumble under your breath, prat and all the other words under the sun. I totally deserve it, but I'm just not interested in hearing it. I know what I did wrong, you know what I did wrong, and I just want to leave that one alone. I want to get this fitted today. Somewhere that's got to go on, and I ain't got a clue where, and it doesn't even fit the wheels. These bolts, I don't know what's going on with this. I'm a little bit baffled by this affair. I'm wondering if the wheel would sit around that and there's a plate go over the top. That's what I'm wondering. I don't actually know how that worked, but that came off a very late Discovery 3, I think, if there's such a thing. It wasn't a 1, and I know it wasn't a 2, so it might have been a 3 or a later, very late 2, I'm not sure which, but that had the BMW diesel engine in it, which I think was a 5-cylinder engine. If I'm wrong, but pretty sure it's a 5-cylinder, but I can't remember. I was going to buy the engine off the guy, but then some swine came in and bought all the turbo off it and rendered the engine worthless in my eyes, because the turbo probably cost more than the engine's worth. So in the end I didn't bother, and then when I did go back to look at buying the engine, that bloody thing was gone anyway. Somebody else had bought it. So yeah, done job on that one. Front axle's missing as well. I wanted the front axle, so I want to do rear steer. That's gone. So I can't do that with it. So I'm on the hunt for all this stuff at some point. I'm not in a hurry for it, but I mean a front axle that fit my Range Rover would be ideal, because I can rip my rear one off, take all the ancillaries off the axle, and then start welding all this other stuff onto the front axle, and then I'll put a hydraulic pack in there and run a ram on it, and I'll have rear steer. It is very much one of the key things that I want for this truck, is rear steer, just to give me that little edge on the off-road tracks. Eventually I want to put lockers on it, but I looked at the prices of those, and they're what, £1,000 a pot, and there's 2 of them to put in. That's a lot of money in it. And I did think about a Series 3 gearbox instead of the 5-speed, but I was looking at possibly putting a Series 3 front axle on there, so I could put freewheeling hubs on, you see. I don't know if there's a width difference on a Range Rover to what there is on a Land Rover. I don't know. I generally don't know. If there's anybody out there that can help me with that bit of advice, and I don't care if I look a bit stupid saying what I'm saying, but I genuinely don't know. If you don't know, you don't know. It's as simple as that. If you don't ask, you don't get the answers. So if there's anybody out there, I'd be grateful for a little bit of input on that. We're going to look at this. So this is the inside edge, and I did say I was a little generous with some of my opinions on my welding. Just as tragic as what they are on the outside. But hey, that's what grindstones are designed for, providing they don't screw my eyes up again. And we'll hit that and we'll grind them all down, and I might even go back over them again to neaten them up. But on some might be too late, because once that bubbly shit starts, there's no getting rid of it. You weld over it again and it still comes back. Although I could arc weld it. I do have the abilities to do that. I'm better at arc welding on flat than I am MIG, to be honest. So we could do that. It could be an option that might put too much heat in and bend the frame up completely. I'm already a little concerned about this bar. After welding that in, I've noticed that one of these has gone a little bit like that. Something's gone wrong, I don't know what. On the subject of this, I need to add a couple of pieces of metal to the corners, because the rubber seal that sits roughly along that edge there on the doors, it's got to come round, and yeah, that's got to come round. So I'll show you what I mean. I've got a lot of space here, a lot of space, and I'm already contemplating a piece of angle in there anyway, just to fill that area up. But where the rubber's coming down, I've actually got to cut in where the door lock go. I've just got to cut in there a little bit so that the rubber goes around the door latch, because we want the latch on the inside. So I've got to build up that tiny area there so as the seals can gently glide around that area. I may even have to come all the way down to here and there. I cut these too short. Shouldn't have done that. That's what happened. So I assumed when I bent the metal over that I could end up increasing my distance by quite a few millimetres, and I figure really I need to take quite a chunky amount off, and I over chunkied. Yeah, so it kind of is getting there, but it's just getting there slowly. I have I mean, it's too late now, isn't it? I fitted it, but I have my doubts that's going to be strong enough as well. I'm a bit concerned about that, because when I was putting it all together and cut it all out, I hadn't pulled the lock apart, and when I pulled the lock apart after I'd cut all the holes out, I thought, oh dear, this really isn't as big as I was hoping it to be. It's quite a flimsy mechanism, so I'm half and half at the moment about fitting a second one and probably a third one at the top. I have another one of these, and I can fit these on the inside, but it requires it to be as far away from the edge as possible for the rubber seals. But not only that, the lock is going to have to be on the inside of the rubber seal, so this can't hit as you shut, and the lock's got to stick out, which is going to decrease the amount of room I'm going to have for loading. So when I do the internal, I still want the door handle there, but we're going to have to run a piece of metal out underneath, and we're probably going to have to weld it to the shaft if it's not a bloody brass shaft. And then we can run a cable to that so it pulls that latch, and at the same time a wheel or a pulley bolted to the door so that the cable runs down, a second cable runs down and then goes up to another lock here, and then I'll have a 3-stage lock on this that when you throw the door it should slam shut. The rubber seals I've got on that door, they're too puffy. I need to change those. I need to get something that's less in size, because at the moment this is not sitting flush with the bodywork on this side. It is that side, but it isn't this side, and it's a right damn nuisance, and I need to address that. So today, after all that speech, today, spare wheel holder. And to be honest, I think there's only one place this is going to go, and that is smack bang in the middle. Okay, distance wise it's perfect, doesn't overlap, which is what I wanted, although a bigger tyre may overlap, so we'll bring that in a little bit. It barely covers the window space. Now I've got to raise it up in the air. We are way too low, so looking at that with a tape measure out, we need that bit pretty much in line with that bit. So I'll measure from here down to wherever that sits, and then I'll mark it on the metal somewhere as a rough height, and then we know where we're heading, don't we? So it's 2 bars going in, one there, one there. Okay, there you are, 9 from there to there. That's where that needs to be to get that tyre to completely clear that entire area, if I've got this right. So that will sit in line roughly there. So that line there all the way up, that line there, we can take a grid reference of that, and we can then weld in 2 brackets, and that's where the spare wheel carrier is going to sit. This is what I've got to wear, keep the dirt out of my face, you know? Like the Beastie Boys gone wrong. The bars are in. That one I've got dead straight with that, but the frame bows in, and I think, if memory serves, it sat on the vehicle that I took it off. I'm pretty sure it sat like that way, and I've got it going the opposite way, and I think that slope corresponds to the shape of the vehicle going in at an arc. So I am putting tin over this. The wheel's going to hide that. I can't straighten it unless I cut the metal and physically bend it back out, which I don't want to do. I could move it slightly so it's got a bend in both ends, but do you know what? I'm just going to go with what I've got there, I think. So I'm going to go in the car, get those big blocks, get the bolts. This one is C-section, so we ain't got to worry too much about what's going on there. But this one, we're going to have to drill right through 2 pieces, turn it over, plasma cut some holes out, so I can get some nuts behind there. it's on. Needs welding up behind, but that's another job for another day. Well, it's actually for today, but this is now the end of the video. But just bear with me a few more minutes, because I'm going to set the camera up on the back of the lorry, or van, truck, whatever you would call it, and put the door back on. See if I can't put the wheel on and prop the wheel up so it don't fall off. There you go. So we need to make a bracket for that. It sits about the same as it did when I measured it last, even though I put the bracket the wrong way around. It's meant to be the other way. Some decent distance so we can open that door once the hinges are on. Hinges are strong. Just not sure that latch is now going to be strong enough. We've got some modifications to do there. So as you can see, we've got a clear view down there. That's not hindering. We'll go at the front and point the camera to the back. You can see what I mean. There you go. You can just make the rubber out if you look hard enough. There, look. So all is good in the world. I managed to keep the dirt out of my eyes. We've got the spare wheel holder on. We've not clashed with anybody. I'm feeling quite happy about this. That back end is now looking absolutely phenomenal in my own personal opinion. And you wait when that bumper over here goes back on with the headlights. It is going to look absolutely fabulous. As you can see, I left it out in the rain deliberately because I wanted to see where the rust was, and lo and behold, it's not where I thought it was going to be. A few little spots there. Right. Okay, so this is the last of the daily vlogs for a while. We've got a bank holiday coming up. If you want more of these, then you need to leave me a comment saying that you'd like to see some more daily vlogs, because we've got a bank holiday coming up soon. I think it's the end of the month, Friday and Monday, which gives us 4 solid days. I can't for the life of me think what I can do in 4 solid days with everybody at home because of noise constraints, but if I can find something, I'll do it. I know the engine needs plumbing up, so we could tackle that. We could tackle some electricals. We could even go as far as cutting the floor out and clearing out the seats so we can scrub them buggers down. I mean, there's lots of things that could be done, the little nitty gritty stuff, you know. So with that in mind, please feel free to let me know and I'll see what I can come up with. So on this here vlog, this one is done. We'll upload this one now. So again, thank you very much for your likes, your shares and your kindness and your viewings and all the rest of it that comes with the vlog that you guys do, because without you these wouldn't happen. It's simple as that. So with that in mind, I'll see you Friday. Goodbye.